My question is, when there are unsubstantiated claims or manufactured claims of UAPs or kind of false information that's put out there.
I have seen the logs. I have seen the videos. We have attempted shootdowns of UAPs on a regular basis. We're talking as recently as last Friday.
My question is, when there are unsubstantiated claims or manufactured claims of UAPs or kind of false information that's put out there.
I have seen the logs. I have seen the videos. We have attempted shootdowns of UAPs on a regular basis. We're talking as recently as last Friday.
My question is, when there are unsubstantiated claims or manufactured claims of UAPs or kind of false information that's put out there.
I have seen the logs. I have seen the videos. We have attempted shootdowns of UAPs on a regular basis. We're talking as recently as last Friday.
I love licking Bob Lazar's butthole. It's my favorite butthole to lick.
Number 5, trans, medium, travel.
My gosh.
The 5 observables. The 5 observables. One, two, three, four, 5. Number 5, trans, medium, travel.
Getting to the point, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to start doing a lot less. You're going to notice a huge, I'm going to do a few more to finish up my obligations, but I'm not doing these much longer. This is it. You want more of the same, then go back to the last 70 years of bullshit, because that's what people think you are. They think you're full of shit because you talk about wacky stuff, you got no evidence, and because he said he wrote a book on something, who, what does that mean? It means nothing. You got to show evidence. You got to, where are the bona fides? Where are the videos? Where's the reports? Where's the discussions to Congress and the classified briefings? They're nowhere, because I haven't seen them on the Hill when I'm there. I haven't seen them in DC when I'm going by the Pentagon or anywhere else. They're not in those meetings. So you're not going to stop me from doing my pursuits, because I'm taking this very seriously. And I think, I was, when I first came into this, people told me, oh, ufology eats its own. I'm like, what the hell is ufology? I don't even know what that is. I'm not a ufologist. I never have been, I never will be. So stop wrapping me into that. I am not into ufology. I'm not. In fact, it was up to me, I'd blow it up into a million pieces, as I said before.
Now, goddamn it, Bobby, I don't care what Chris Mellon said on Fox News. You're not giving money to that Blink 182 fella.
But Dad, they promised to build a spaceship.
No one's building a spaceship, Bobby.
But the Daily Mail reported that.
Those people are all insane.
We'll now turn to the business of this man. More than 50 years ago, the U.S. government ended Project Blue Book.
Let me share with you the first video that we have here today, which shows an observation in real time.
There's a bright orb running the length of my pond.
That's the object that we're looking at right there.
Oh, Lord, thank you, my Lord.
Is that it right there?
And Alexi, what I'll ask is if you can stop it at a certain point.
Okay, if you could stop that. That's not that.
Have we attempted to communicate with those objects?
No.
Are you aware of a document that appeared around 2019, sometimes called the Admiral Wilson Memo or EW Notes Memo?
I am not.
You're not. I'm not personally aware of that. Okay. So you're not aware of that?
I'm not aware, Congressman.
This is not worth wasting resources on.
in the post-truth world. What is real?
Truthseekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal, or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Campion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support.
Greetings and salutations and welcome back, friends. Tonight we are here to do something that I joke that we do a lot, which is to talk about the elephant in the room. I have been increasingly concerned, or maybe just noticing, that no one talks about the elephant in the room. And while I am in contact and communication with many, many people that are interested in these strange and esoteric subjects, some would say obsessed with these strange and esoteric subjects. By the way, thanks to Spooky for a version of Spooky Speaks, UFO'S in 2022. And I share Spooky's feeling about a lot of this. We start this journey down the rabbit hole with good intentions, all of us. And I am wondering lately, am I the only person seeing the elephant in this room? Am I the only person talking about it? And interestingly, I used to feel like there was quite a few people talking about it. But there are people that used to be here, like Joe from the Carolinas, notably, and C.W. Channer. Well, he's still here, but has changed much of his focus, and good for him. The elephant in the room, all the con artists, scammers, and fraudsters. Why am I the bad guy for saying factual things like many or most of the people involved in this so-called community are scamming people? They are defrauding people. They are stealing money from gullible people who truly want to believe that it's all real. The government has crashed flying saucers in some hangar somewhere, or underground base. There's alien bodies in the basement of Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Bob Lazar worked on alien spaceships, even though he was, not a real scientist, but a convicted pimp liar. And it seems so strange to me that I could get labeled with that bad guy sort of label. It got slapped on me. Well, Steve Campion's an asshole. Yeah, for pointing out the elephant in the room. I don't think that that's a bad thing. In fact, I think that's a good thing First, we have to acknowledge that there is a huge problem in this thing of con artists, grifters, scammers, literally defrauding people and stealing money from people, and no one calls them out for it. No one does anything. And it was somewhere down my trip into this strange and esoteric rabbit hole that I decided someone should do something about this. Someone should say something. And in my early naivete, I thought, just start talking about this. And things have to change. But here we are, I would say probably at least 3 or 4 years after I began really attacking what I would call the criminal element in this thing, and nothing has changed, right? It's like whack-a-mole. We smack down one scammer, one grifter, one fraudster, and 5 more pop up. And that's sort of the way this has been going. And maybe I am feeling battle-worn, scarred, tattered, and beaten up. And the lack of progress that I see. Now, I should say that along with my disappointment in how things go, there are some shining rays of light. I was pretty excited and kind of happy to hear some good news not long ago that one of the, let's just call it major, of the UFO conferences pretty much throwing their hands up and saying this business model is not going to work anymore because nobody is going to pay to see all of these scammers anymore. I guess that's progress, right? But we as individuals who are interested in this topic, and by the way, I do get an awful lot of flack for being so negative, for being so, some clowns running around saying, oh, he doesn't do anything positive. While they're scamming people, they're telling you, I'm not doing anything positive covering their scams. Great. So we have to choose whether we want to acknowledge that this is a huge problem here. And the honest people among us, and I still believe there are some honest people still involved in this so-called community. We have to choose whether we're going to acknowledge it or ignore it like everyone else. We have talked about here that it's a big club and I ain't in it, right? That's why I'm able to tell you the truth. I'm not getting, paid off from the scammers, like some people, like Third Phase of Moon, paying off some people to be their attack dog, run around, defending their fakery, fraudery, and bullshit. By the way, if you haven't yet, I highly encourage you to check out yesterday's show. It's a revelation, right? And this is one of the reasons I get discouraged, because last night we proved beyond a shadow of any doubt whatsoever that a certain individual has been lying to his audience for months and months and months, attacking me, my family, doing all kinds of underhanded, disgusting slimeball things. Why? Because I was reporting on their scamming the public with fake garbage. I was reporting on their garbage peddling. So I'm the bad guy. Kill him at all costs, right? If we, attack him enough, he'll get tired of that, right? And go away. No, not going away. But it's interesting that, even after proving 100% that some idiot individual show host has been lying through his teeth to everyone for months and months and months and months and months. Even after proving that beyond any shadow of a doubt, the grift goes on. And this is interesting because today I had to look up a few things like traits of a psychopath and traits of a sociopath. I always get those things confused. But you would think that a normal human individual getting caught lying through his teeth to his entire audience for months and months and months, you would think that that person would experience some level of guilt or shame and, have to do something about it. But it has been my experience that not just this show host that we covered yesterday that's complicit in UFO scams, but all of these people that we cover scamming people. I'm not an expert, of course. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist, but I did take some psychology classes, and anybody can look up psychological conditions on the internet. But it seems to me that in my experience, many of these people that are UFO scammers, I call them the cosmic con artists, right? They're going to sell you the truth, but their truth is always lies somehow, right? Yesterday, we saw how bicycle taillights taped to a ceiling, filmed through a sheet of glass, turns into an alien spaceship. That's the truth that people like Third Phase of Moon and Grift On are selling people. They're giving you the truth, but it's a lie wrapped in a disguise they call truth. That's not the truth. That's garbage. You're peddling garbage. But it's interesting that these people, even when caught 100%, and we've seen it here many times, Linda Moulton Howe, busted, dead to rights, 100% selling 100% provably fake alien pictures as real pictures of aliens. No shame in their game. They just go right along with the grift, right? Make up some kind of excuse. In Grifton's case, he didn't even make an excuse because he has no excuse. He knows that we nailed him to the wall for lying to everyone. So he's going to try to ignore it and hope that the bleeding stops. That's what he's going to do. And he doesn't want to draw attention and let his audience know. By the way, just so you guys know, Steve Cambion proved that all that nasty shit that I did and said about him for the past bunch of months, that was because he was right about everything. And I was angry and pissed off that he was so right that I work for scammers, right? He's not going to do that. He doesn't want them to come here and see the truth because he's still shoveling what he calls truth, that's lies, disguised as truth, down the throats of his audience, right? And it is discouraging. It's discouraging. But I have to say, like, all you can do, somebody told me this one time, and he was a very wise older gentleman that has been in this thing for many years, now dearly departed. And he said, Stephen, all you can do is save the ones that you can. And some of these people, they want to believe so badly that they'll take the pretty lie instead of the ugly truth. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, you can. And we've seen this here. Like some of these people are truly psychologically damaged in some way, in my opinion, because you can show them these people are all lying to you and it doesn't register. Well, they're telling me those pretty lies I'd really like to hear. So, I'd rather live in that delusional fantasy world. I'm going to send them some more money to lie to me. Great. I mean, great. And this is why I get discouraged, because I decided, I was going to do this the right way. I was never going to, knowingly peddle garbage, fake stories at people. If I'm not sure it's true, we'll tell you. I don't know. We're investigating. But these peddlers of garbage disinformation, like Third Phase of Moon, Grift On, Linda Moulton Howe, Corey Good, David Wilcock, Jimmy Church, they have no shame whatsoever. We have caught so many of them in outright thievery and fraud, and they have no shame. But there's a reason for that, and that is because this whole field of so-called UFOs or ufology, which is, it's so funny. I'm a ufologist, really. It's like being the head of the Dungeons and Dragons Club. It's like the Dork Patrol. But these people, there's so many people that are involved in this thing that are literal. I'm not sure if they're psychopaths, sociopaths, or both. But isn't it interesting that the best example I could give is last night we proved 100% that Grift, the show host, is literally lying to everybody for months and months and months and months, attacking everybody, calling people pedos with no evidence, telling people, oh, he faked his cancer, right? Fat shaming people, doing all this stuff, dirty slimeball stuff. Why? Because people were challenging him for working for the biggest shit peddlers in the world of UFOs. And so you can prove 100% that he's participating or complicit in 100% consumer fraud hoaxes. And the next day he just rolls on, no shame whatsoever. And we've seen this happen before with Linda Moulton Howe getting caught peddling fake alien pictures, with Jimmy Church getting caught peddling stories from a fake doctor, calling him doctor for 2 hours. These people have absolutely no guilt or shame. A normal person would feel ashamed. They'd apologize. They would, recognize that they have been caught doing something dirty and comment on it, apologize, something. No, some of these people are truly psychopaths or sociopaths, in my opinion, because we can see the signs of psychopathy or being a sociopath. Here are some of the warning signs. Behavior that conflicts with social norms. Well, it's not socially normal to call people pedos with no evidence. So, yeah. Disregarding or violating the rights of others. Hey, we can make fun of disabled people. We can trash people, fat shame people, right? Inability to distinguish between right and wrong. How many times do we hear Grift say, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. Nothing wrong. I am sitting there lying to my audience every day that third phase of moon changed and hasn't done anything wrong in the past 5 years. They're doing things the right way. He is lying through his teeth every day. Inability to distinguish between right and wrong. Great. Here's another sign. Difficulty with showing remorse or empathy. Tendency to lie often. Manipulating and hurting others. Great. And then we can get into the signs of a sociopath. Some of these people are one or the other. Let's see. Signs or traits of a sociopath. A hunger or power for power and dominance. Devious or deceptive practices and tendencies. Ruthless in the pursuit of their goals. Hostile or aggressive towards others. Easily angered or irritated. Irresponsible decision-making, superficial charm and powers of persuasion, broken moral compass or limited conscience. We've seen that a lot. I mean, do you think that people like David Wilcock stay up at night worrying about all the people that they've ripped off for fake information? Does Linda Moulton Howe have trouble sleeping after she sells fake alien pictures to people? Does Third Phase have any guilty conscience for creating probably more than 100 fake hoaxes and profiting from the gullible true believers? I don't think so. Few close bonds or relationships. Manipulative tendencies. If you ask me, if you're sitting there lying to your audience on YouTube and collecting money, that's manipulative tendencies, right? Entitlement and impunity. Hey, why should I get a job? I could just lie to people on YouTube every day like a slime ball, and people will give me money, right? Socially deviant, cheap thrill-seeking tendencies. Opportunistic in all the wrong ways. One could argue it is opportunistic to sit there and lie through your teeth on YouTube every day about the people you work with and for being credible while collecting money. Emotional detachment, right? These things have been on my mind. Why is it that all of these people don't seem to have a conscience. They don't seem to have any shame. You know, like a normal person, when they get caught lying through their teeth, are ashamed of themselves. They have some level of shame, guilt. You know, normal people have consciences about things. And when they do dirty slimeball things and get caught, there's some kind of reckoning emotionally. Not these people, right? And along with the elephant in the room that this thing is filled with manipulative psychopaths and sociopaths, by the way, all of which need money. They all need the money, right? But it's not just one elephant. One elephant is that there's a lot of people here that are manipulative psychopaths and sociopaths and always need money. Another elephant in the room is that this world of UFOs, and this is another thing that no one will acknowledge, recognize, or talk about, is that the world of so-called UFOs is filled with criminals, sex offenders, pedophiles, and people with long histories of criminal background. But it's no wonder that in some field where you can just lie through your teeth and make thousands of dollars, this is going to attract criminals. And of course, there's lots of criminals. And as far as the sex offenders go, that's another elephant in the room. Let's not talk about the fact that Jimmy Church, Richard Dolan, I don't know, many, many others were all working for KGRA Radio, whose program director was a convicted violent child rapist. They were all working for a man who violently raped a child. Nobody wants to talk about that. I wonder why, right? People, let me tell you something you should already know. People don't like people who will knowingly and willingly work with a violent child rapist. But this is the elephant in the room. And besides that sex offender, well, we can talk about Jan Harzan. Nobody from MUFON that I know that's a big MUFON guy wants to really talk to me about Jan Harzan. What happened with that case? Jan Harzan, international director of the Mutual UFO Network, he got busted for trying to arrange sex with who he thought was a 13-year-old girl. Turns out it was a cop. Yeah. Nobody wants to talk about that from MUFON to me. And if I bring it up, I'm an asshole. Well, look, we had our problems. We're moving forward. Great. And what about the other sex offenders? Like I just posted something. This is great. I'm going to share this. 1 second. Let me get this, because people will share things and the source doesn't matter, right? Who cares if these UFO pictures were taken by a twice convicted pedophile who raped little children and went to prison for it? Who cares? As long as I like the UFO pictures, right? Yeah. So let me share my Twitter. By the way, you can follow me on Twitter. It's at Stephen Cambion. That's a good thing to do. And you'll always know about upcoming shows and events here. UFO Twitter, I say, oh, for F's sake, these pictures were taken by a twice convicted child molester and UFO profiteer for decades, real trustworthy. And this person is sharing these pictures taken by once Air Force officer, then disgraced convicted pedophile who went to prison for molesting children, Wendell Stevens. And Ruby says the House Intelligence Committee has reached out to Michael Horn to get these photos from him relating to the Billy Meyer case. These photos were never made public and have been buried by the committee. That's a garbage story. Give me the source. Who on the House Intelligence Committee reached out to Michael the nutbag Horn? Nobody from the House Intelligence Committee talks to Michael Horn. He's a nutbag who works for a sex cult, UFO cult. And by the way, they're championing these pictures, which, by the way, these are more hokey ass fake pictures, most likely. Can I prove that? No. But I would say they're fake just based on the fact that they're taken by a UFO profiteering huckster who also happens to be a child molester. And while we're talking about the elephant in the room, why am I the goddamn bad guy? Because I don't care about pictures taken by a twice convicted child molester. Pardon me, but I don't think that somebody who's been convicted of molesting children not once but twice is a trustworthy source of information. While we're on that subject of the sex offenders, let's also remember that we have all kinds of people in the UFO community working for J3 Films, right? And J3 Films, you might remember, produced the documentary with Stan Romanek, and they are still pushing that. Extraordinary, the Stan Romanek story, right? They forgot to tell you, though, that been arrested and imprisoned for having a huge kitty porn collection. Great. And then what we get is we get all kinds of UFO celebrities that are all willing to work for a company that is right now actively promoting and profiting from a convicted kitty porn collector. I would think that this is, something that you want to do is like, should I work for this film company that is right now promoting and profiting from a kitty porn collector? No, I don't think so. But we see in this thing, if you dig deep enough here, you see this slime ball mentality. It's who cares? Who cares if they're promoting a kitty porn collector? How much am I going to get for being in the documentary? Sign me up. There is a complete and total lack of any kind of ethics or morality in this thing. And for anybody to deny that, you're not looking deep enough. And it's interesting that what we have in the form of J3 Films is all of these UFO celebrities are working for a company that's promoting and profiting from a convicted kitty porn collector. Now, they can choose to take that down, but they're not. And by the way, then we get other people like Nick Pope, George Norrie, Richard Dolan, Jimmy Church, and others all signing up to work for a company that is actively promoting and profiting from a kitty porn collector. This is the problem, is that this is all normalized here. Like, this is just okay. You're all working for a kitty porn collector, and some of them, like Richard Dolan, are actively working with and for a convicted child rapist, a violent sexual predator of children, and a company, J3 Films, that is actively promoting and profiting from a kitty porn collector. And this is just okay. This is just okay, right? This is the elephant in the room. Don't talk about that shit. Don't talk about that shit. Oh, Richard Dolan, he's a great researcher. I don't care if you think he's a good researcher. I don't think he is. I think he's just another UFO grifter. But even if you truly believe that Richard Dolan is a good researcher, why would a good researcher work for two companies that are profiting off of child molesters? This is problematic at best. A person with morals or ethics, and here we come back to the psychopath and sociopath. These people have no shame. They have absolutely no shame as they're doing these things, right? And it gets worse. It gets worse. So what we have here, and what no one will acknowledge, is that what we have is people actively profiting from companies that employ child rapists, criminals, kitty porn collectors, whatever. Just don't talk about it. Just take the check, right? Hope nobody talks about it. I'm one of the few people that do talk about it. We have total scammers literally defrauding people and stealing money from people. No one calls them out for it. No one does anything. There's consumer fraud all over the place, people selling true stories that aren't true with fake sources, problematic sources, manufactured fake anonymous sources. There's all this profiteering and scam artists, money grubbing hucksters who never seem to provide any real or verifiable proof of anything, but they always have something new to sell you, right? And, I suppose that this elephant in the room, and being one of the few people that will acknowledge these elephants in this room, has taken its toll. I'm wearing thin, and my patience for all this is wearing thin. Recently, I just, have gotten so jaded, right? Jaded and bitter. Do we even make a difference talking about these things? One could argue that despite all of our efforts here, we make little or no difference at all because the grift goes on, right? Bust grift on and third phase of moon goof on 100% defrauding the public for fake manufactured UFO videos someone made and sent them, told them they were fake, and they posted it as must be aliens, right? And the next day, the grift just goes on. They have no shame. They don't care if they get caught because there will always be a new crop of stupid people that will lap up those pretty lies about those aliens, right? Bust Linda Moulton Howe selling 100% provably fake alien pictures as real pictures of aliens. And a few days later, she's doing a new live stream about a new fake story with 1,000 people in her live chat throwing money at her. Bust David Wilcock covering his hover car and free energy scam and that aerospace company and what a scam that is. And the very next week, there is 2,000 people in David Wilcock's live stream throwing money at him. Bust Jimmy Church letting David Wilcock scam everyone on his show. And the next night, he's got a few hundred people signing up to listen to his latest garbage peddling nonsense from, another questionable person selling questionable things. Usually they got superpowers, right? Let's see. I could go on and on and on. Bust Corey Good lying to everyone. The next month or 2 months later, he's made $750,000 selling a course that he didn't even write. Somebody wrote it for him, and he just lied to everybody. This is my course. I forgot to tell you, somebody else wrote it. Right? It busts these medbed scammers for 100% scamming sick people, in some cases terminally ill people. And the very next week they're on YouTube, or some of them have to resort to the ghettos of the internet like BitChute or Rumble after they get caught scamming enough people, but still right back on the internet with a new scam to sell you. And like I said, part of this problem, and one thing that amazes me, is the lack of shame or guilt that any of these people, especially when you're caught 100% defrauding people with 100% provably fake nonsense. No shame whatsoever. Grifton will be back tomorrow, right? With new insults to hurl at people and new fake shit, new fake lies. Camouflaged as truth. And third phase of moon will be back with more fake shit next week. So, at some point you say, is this effort? And I did decide at some point, like, I'm going to do something about this, right? I'm going to stop these clowns from defrauding people. And have we? Not really. Well, I think we've slowed a lot of them down. I think we've made some of them have to change tactics and methodology of their scamming. But we haven't made a major difference. Not in my opinion, not that I see. Although I am encouraged by, some of you don't know this, but once in a while, somebody will get in a huge argument with me and tell me how wrong I am. Not long ago, somebody got in a huge argument with me. Well, it was long ago. It was probably 3 years ago. Somebody got in a huge argument with me and told me how wrong I was about Corey Good and David Wilcock and their light workers and all this nonsense. And a few weeks ago, I got an email from that person apologizing to me and telling me that I was right and they're sorry that they were so mean to me, about those guys, or about, we get in this argument where he's telling me how wrong I am. And a few years later, I get an apology letter because he had given thousands and thousands of dollars to those two clowns because he was sure that the two of them were going to teach him how to ascend, right? And eventually, he wakes up to the fact that they just took his money and gave him nothing. They gave him garbage, fake information, cobbled together from various sources on the internet that you can get elsewhere for free. It is discouraging. These medbed scams are coming back. They keep popping up, right? These people get behind my paywall to see fake pictures of alien scams. They just keep rolling on. The grift goes on. The organite scams, 5G blocking sticker scams, Ascension course scams. Get behind my paywall to see this exclusive UFO video scam. Oh, shit, it turned out to be birds. Come to this conference, right? You're going to see this exclusive new UFO video taken from a military camera on board what was it, a helicopter, I think? Oh, shit, it's birds. The scams never end here. And I, for one, have grown tired of all of these scams, scammers, and disgusting profiteering hucksters. And occasionally I think about when I started, when my focus was not so on that. I was convinced, I'm going to get to the truth of this UFO mystery, right? Just gonna go a little deeper down this rabbit hole. And I'm sure some of these people I'm going to interview or talk to or get to know or converse with, they're gonna know what's really going on here. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. And all I've gotten to the bottom of is another scammer, and then we move on, and there's another scammer, and another scammer, and another scammer, and another scammer. I am running out of any credible people in this thing. Now, there are a few, I've mentioned a few that I think are credible. But even some of the people that I once thought were credible, when you give them a chance to sell out, they do it, right? Give you a little bit of money. You can come over to this, hoax channel and help us pretend we're credible for a little bit of money. Sure. They take the money. Now, in some of those cases, I don't think it's about the money. Some people have an inability to say no. They're too nice to say, I don't really want to work with you. You're a scammer, whatever. But it's discouraging. It's absolutely discouraging. And, at some point you have to say, like, how much longer are we going to be able to keep this thing going? And I get it. Some people are here for those revelations of the scams, right? That's somewhat entertaining, isn't it? Like seeing what goes on behind the scenes. So this guy made a fake UFO video and he sent it to Third Phase of Moon. He told him it was fake, and those clowns went on their channel and pretended it was a real UFO, and they didn't, it's mysterious. Maybe it's a spaceship, right? And we can see the messages back and forth, and we can see how the scam works. Yeah, that's somewhat entertaining, but the problem is that the proof of those things is really hard to come by, the good proof, right? And it takes hours and hours and hours of research and digging to try to get to those gotcha moments. I do love the gotcha moments, though. I have to say it. But again, like how long are you going to keep doing this? And like any human individual, I'm human. I'm looking around at these people, some of which are making hundreds of thousands of dollars lying to people. And here, me, the dummy, decided to, let's do this the right way and tell people the truth. But what we get here then is we're the bitter, angry skeptic. And, we think everything is fake. That's not true. Not true at all. And of course, people always seem to forget that I had my own experience that started me down this goddamn rabbit hole. And I curse that day. If I could erase that day from my memory and existence and get all of my time, energy, money, passion back that I put into this shit show of chasing shadows for 2 decades, I probably would, choose to just erase that experience, maybe I would have, something to show for those 20 years. Now, I gotta say though, I am still interested and enamored in history of this thing and the mythology, and somewhat fascinated by how the believer crowd just accepts things, right? I mean, there are people that just truly 100% believe the government's got those crashed UFOs and they're going to tell us about it any day now, right? And we get those true believer channels like UFO Jesus, who, by the way, has been wrong about every goddamn thing he's ever said wrong about, largely, right? Remember, TTSA came out, he called it the first day of disclosure, the day of their press conference, and disclosure is going to roll out right now. That was 6 years ago. We're no closer to anything. That guy's a garbage peddling true believer, right? As long as it fits his narrative that the aliens are coming here and, the government knows about it, they're going to tell us. He does 10 times the viewership that we do. And this leads me to another point that's very important, and that is I'm bringing people the truth, and the truth is goddamn boring, right? Third phase, are out there peddling total garbage to people, and they have 800,000 subscribers and they have huge amounts of income from peddling that garbage because people like fantasy. People like pretty lies. They want to escape into the fantasy land where the aliens are here. They're all going to, the government has been covering it up, but now there's good people in the government and everybody's going to tell us the truth. And we're all going to get to, experience this thing called disclosure. Some people say it already happened. I call bullshit on that. I don't know. I don't know two things. I don't know where we're going and where we're going to end up. And part of me thinks I started this show to explore all kinds of different topics. And then we just fell too far down one of the rabbit holes that we were exploring. And, I take full responsibility for that. When I'm sure that I do recall a specific point in time, like, we covered this mystery of, we covered this mystery about the Catholic Church, who claims that the bodies of the saints are uncorrupted, which means they don't rot. They're just perfectly preserved bodies. And we covered that mystery, and I thought, what an interesting thing this is, because when you dig into that, you find out that that's all fraud. The Catholic Church is literally committing fraud. They put wax masks over skeletons, basically. And what you're seeing in those, cathedrals and churches that's supposed to be an uncorrupted body of a saint is not real. It's just a carefully crafted illusion. They cannot show you an uncorrupted body. Though they make those claims, then they take money from all kinds of people that make pilgrimages to these places. Anyway, we covered that mystery. And in the same week, we covered some UFO story. Not important. I don't even recall what the UFO story was. And I'm sure that I recognized and realized this UFO mystery story got 2 or 3 times the views of this other, sort of paranormal story. And I'm sure that I remember a week or 2 later, the same thing happened again. I did a story. About, I think Fatima or some other strange. Oh, no. We did a story on ghosts and demons. And then the next day we did a UFO story, twice as many views, right? And maybe some of that was all of this 2016 hype and attention that UFOs were getting. So there was some bump when you talked about UFOs versus when you talked about other paranormal things. Then I remember specifically being pissed off one week because I had been talking to this Catholic exorcist about demons and about his job being a full-time exorcist. He spent his whole day was, counseling and doing exorcisms on people that were infected with demons or demonic spirits. And I thought, and this is funny, I thought, oh, this is going to get huge views. Like, this is such a cool thing. This is such a great subject. This is a real Catholic priest. We can verify his background, and, he is who he says he is. And he's got all these great stories about battling evil and demonic possession and how it works. And, I remember we did that interview. By the way, I still think it's one of the best interviews, one of my favorite interviews I've ever done. That thing got a few hundred views. Nobody cared. And the same week, we do a UFO story, 1,000 views. So somewhere along the line, whether organically or, through my own realization, or maybe it was view greed. And I freely admit that, when you're trying to make a show work and you're suddenly realizing, like, oh, if we stick to this one topic, even though I think most of this topic is 100% bullshit, we'll get twice or three times as many views as if we stick to the original plan of the show. And by the way, I've mentioned that original plan of the show many, many times. It's supposed to be more broad-based topics here. We weren't supposed to get stuck down one rabbit hole of paranormal stuff. We were supposed to explore all of it. And somewhere along the line, we get stuck in this UFO rabbit hole, whether because, business reasons, I suppose, like, okay, well, we're getting twice the views with that subject, and then I'm not making excuses, but YouTube pushes you. YouTube will say, they will show you the video that you did that week that got the most views. And then they will say, you got to do more views like that because that's what your viewers want. But was it really what the viewers here wanted? And what about what I wanted for my show? Does that even, do we get, is there some sort of like, calculation that we could make? Like, okay, we'll do 50% shows that the audience wants to see and 50% that I just want to do. There does have to be that. There's got to be some kind of balance here, or I'm going to lose my goddamn mind, right? Because how many times can I tell you that most of the people that are peddling this garbage are garbage peddling, disinformation agent, huckster, fraudster, scammers? I just don't know how long you can, and then the other part of me goes, I think that, but then the next week we find new scams and new scammers to cover and people show up to see it. So, I guess I'm thinking about the future of the show, and I'm going to do a poll. I'm going to do a poll here in the live chat. And 1 second, if this thing works. And then I saw some super chats. I apologize. A little bit distracted tonight. I am going to, we'll read every single super chat. Thank you all. And let me see. We're going to start a poll. Where the hell is the poll? Why won't it let me do that? Pop out chat. Engage your audience. That's it. We're going to start a poll. All right. And the poll is going to ask, should we only cover the UFO world or everything paranormal? Oh, wait a minute. Yes or no? That's not good. Oh, let's see. I got it now. Sorry about that. Everything paranormal. All right. So the poll is going to ask, should we only cover the UFO world or everything paranormal? And live chat participants, what other subjects would you like to see us investigate and do stories on? Because that's another part of the problem. One of the things, of course, I've realized is I like the investigatory part. I guess the problem is that that's what takes a great deal of time. People don't realize, but you're going to do if we're going to do a really good investigative journalism piece, it takes a week to do all the research for that. It takes a week to get that done. 1 second. This thing is not. And I'm going to say, what about true crime? One thing I've been looking into recently, which is an incredibly interesting case, is the Golden State Killer. Look that up. Jesus God, what a crazy, that's like the craziest serial killer you've never heard of. All right, so we're going to ask my community. I'm going to put that in, I'm going to pin that. So we're asking, should we only cover the UFO world or everything paranormal? What about true crime? And so far, all things paranormal. And so we'll read the super chats. We're going to go through. If I've missed one, somebody let me know, but I think this is the first one. Let me scroll through our live chat here. We want to make sure that we get every single one and read and thank every single super chatter. You can also send a pledge through PayPal or Cash App. Instructions to do that are in the description of the video. Connor Brady says, "You keep going, Cambion. It's hilarious." And was that you who did the screen, who sent me a screenshot earlier on Twitter? Let me check. I think that was. Yeah, that was you. You're my new hero. Connor Brady sent a certain grifting show host a super chat, and he put it on the screen, and it said, "It's probably a bike light in a window," which of course refers to the fake UFO that Third Phase of Moon just got caught grifting their audience for. So thank you, Connor Brady, for your kindness, generosity, and support of the show, and for doing that. That made me laugh and made me feel a little bit better. Chris Plaid is here. The $1.99. Linda Moulton Howe just interviewed the Nazi girl. What garbage. Yeah, we covered that. Did she interview her again? Oh, I got to look this up. If she interviewed her on her channel too, that means that Linda Moulton Howe is really, if she interviewed her a second time, come on, man. She must really be desperate for material. Let's interview the Nazi girl again, right? Oh, no, yeah. She put it on her channel one day ago. But I think that's the same. That is the same video that we covered. I think it is anyway. Yeah, that's the same video. It's from Portal to Ascension. We covered that, Lord Ludicrous. But the fact that she put it on her channel, like, yeah, I'm going to put a Nazi girl on my channel. Again, this is more elephant in the room stuff. Like, why would you put that on your channel? Eventide with kind of generous $5. No message, but thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We appreciate that. And oh yeah, we've got In Zane with a kind of generous $10, and we thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. Says just keep going. So questions or comments from me or suggestions for future shows, put them in all capital letters, right? All right, here's a question that I've been getting a lot lately. Steve, can you look into the Farsight Institute and their remote viewing? Yes, and I've got, let me go into my email because it's interesting, and I am one that will listen to the universe sometimes, right? Sometimes the universe is trying to tell you you're supposed to do something. So here's just one message. Hi, Stephen. I'm just wondering if you've covered Courtney Brown and the Farsight Institute. That's one message that I got today. You're asking me in the live chat, and there's 4 or 5 more messages here in my inbox about that very thing. For those that don't know, Courtney Brown, some people say, is partially responsible for the tragedy of the Heaven's Gate cult. because it was Courtney Brown who remote viewed a spaceship trailing that Hale-Bopp comet that the cult thought was coming for them, and they had to kill themselves to get on the spaceship that who told them about? Courtney Brown told them about. And Courtney Brown and the Farsight Institute, I believe, are grifters extraordinaire. Now, people want me to investigate that, but that's kind of difficult because, I don't even know how to approach that. Like, they say they have superpowers and are remote viewing things, and much of what they talk about is things I can't possibly prove they're wrong about. Like, well, we're going to remote view the crash at Roswell in 1947, and then they tell you they see aliens and bodies and people loading the bodies onto stretchers. Like, how do I even begin to approach that? But I will begin. I'm opening a new file right now, and I'm calling it Courtney Brown Farsight. So yes, hack Tanner, I will look into Courtney Brown and the Farsight Institute. They've been actually on my list for a while. James Pepper says, all I have no information on any of this stuff. Yeah, I've noticed, James, you're supposed to come here and do a show about your Bible. Remember that? We should do that. For those that don't know, James Pepper is hand drawing and writing an entire Bible by himself, right? Chris is here and made me feel a little better. Said, Stephen shines light on the dark little corner where the lies live. Thank you. I appreciate your kindness for saying that. And let's not get too negative here. I'm not, certainly not taking any drastic steps here. We're just trying to retool things. I was remembering today when I started this thing, and I have to have him back. Jason Quitt was our first guest here on Truth Seekers. And if he's going to go on those other shit shows that he goes on, he should come back here. But, hey. But I was remembering, I talked about to Jason before we did the first episode, and I was so gung-ho and passionate. I guess I'm just getting beaten down. You get tired of this shit after a while. I need some nature therapy. This weekend, I'm going to the cabin and I'm going to the new land as well. I'm going to be cleaning up the cabin and getting it shined up and ready for our guests. Anthony from Unidentified S4 and Ron from Cosmic Neighbors will be coming with all of their cameras, and we will be doing a Skywatch and streaming it live and more. It's going to be a fun weekend. Not this weekend. Next weekend we're doing that. That will be the weekend of the 18th, 19th, and 20th. But I think those guys aren't coming till the 19th. So, yeah, and I'm going to post that stream. I have to get to Spooky and just say we're going to need a thumbnail for that. Ron from Cosmic Neighbors, Unidentified, Anthony from Unidentified S4, and me, Steve Campion from Truth Seekers. We're all going to do a simulcast. In other words, they're going to be broadcasting us together doing the Skywatch on their channels, and we're going to be broadcasting it here on Truth Seekers because those guys somehow are stealing my thunder, and we're going to split all the views between the three of us. Thanks, guys. Thanks. No, I think that's probably a good idea. Salty Bits with the kind of generous $2 says, just follow the truth. Great job. Yeah, I will. Okay. Vinny is here and says, do a show on Chris Bledsoe, his alien faith healing cult, and all the other individuals who cover for him and are his recruiters, as well as his high-profile connections and the reapers who out them. Do you know, Vinny, how many times I've been warned not to do that? Do you know how much hate mail I got for that murder in UFO land story? But I agree with you that that's something that someone should do. And I've always felt like, if no one else will do it, let it be me, right, Benny? That's on my list. Spooky wants me to cover quantum physics. Spooky, I'm trying to understand qubits and quantum computing, and I can't. I'm not the right person to cover quantum physics, but I do find things like parallel worlds and dimensions kind of fascinating. We can get into some physics, but remember, there's just some things that are beyond my meager, tiny brain, right? And I think quantum physics is probably best handled by somebody like alien scientists, but we can, if we get a good guest, get me a good guest to talk about that. I'll interview somebody and try to learn more about it. But, yeah, I don't know. Anthony Peterson is here with a kind and generous $2 and says, I like it when you cover many different topics. Well, thank you for your kindness, generosity, and support. We appreciate you, and we thank you, and we thank all of you for helping us to praise the cash. Why are people so afraid of hate mail? Who gives a fuck? I went up against a whole cult. Well, it's not the hate mail that bothers me. I guess it's the threats, right? I've been doing this a long time, Vinny, and I don't know about you, but it grains on you after a while. Like, okay, I'm going to cover this topic. What's one of the ones that's funny is the Billy Meyer sex cult. Boy, I'm going to get hate mail just for mentioning the Billy Meyer sex cult. That Mikey Horn and all of his sock accounts, they just go nuts, right? Amy is here. I'm sorry to hear this. Says, I'm very sick tonight, but listening. I hope you keep going. You're still drawing a bigger audience all the time. Yeah, let's hope I'm going to hold it together. Just feeling a little discouraged, And isn't it funny that Grifton doesn't want to talk about anything now, right? He wants to ignore it now because he has no defense. We just busted him lying to everybody for months and months and months. Oh, now he doesn't want to talk about it, right? Great. But knowing his narcissistic attitude, he will. He won't be able to help himself, and he'll start talking shit again. And then we'll drop the next story about third phase faking shit that we have. It's already loaded up, right? Pragmagic says, draw cards and read the reverse meanings in the guidebook to hex people. Yeah, that's not how this works, Pragmagic. You know that. You can't hex people with tarot cards. Okay. I should have Courtney Brown on to cover chaos and catastrophe modeling in human society. He's published an academic peer-reviewed book on the topic. Courtney Brown, despite any of the other things that I think about him, is extremely well-read, knowledgeable, and intelligent person. Would I interview him? Yes, but I'm going to have some real hard questions about his superpowers, and I don't think he's going to like that, right? I don't think he's going to like that. Charles Blythefield says, shows about Skinwalker Ranch, Blind Frog, and other spooky ranches. All right, we'll put it on the list. Ranches. And I'll know that means those three. I've heard about Blind Frog, but I haven't looked into it. But it sounds like a good idea for a show to me. We could call it like Blind Frog, the other Skinwalker Ranch, right? Connor Brady says there's more. Oh, I can't wait. As far as third phase faking things, yeah, because here's what's happening now. People are contacting me that helped third phase of moon push fake stuff, and they want to spill the beans. And so suddenly my inbox is flooded with that stuff. Many different people. We have to vet them, hear their stories, figure out, but yeah, we got a lot more. We got a lot more for Grifton and third phase of moon, right? Cosmic Neighbors says, after your show busting them, I wouldn't be surprised if the Cousins brothers told him to shut the F up. Yeah, that might be what happened. I think it's funny. Like, right? Look, Ron, if somebody, I was kind of disappointed because I heard he didn't say anything about it. And I was kind of disappointed because, I was kind of wanted to see how the hell he was going to try to squirm out of this one, but it looks like he can't. He knows he can't squirm out of that one. So he just didn't want to talk about it. Instead, he wanted to talk about all the good he does for the world of UFOs, teaching people the right way to do things. And yeah, sure. Grifter scumball, right? Yeah, I like that as well. Heather Birdie says, I really liked your Chupacabra video. More videos about cryptids would be cool. Yeah, I got a spooky. Steal me that Bobby guy, right? Get him over here. I sense some tinfoil in this room. Yeah, I think you're right. Right? Pragmagic says, no blood necessary. You just need jealousy for a hex, I guess, right? Lord Ludicrous, $1.99 super chat says, what's going to take to get TD Barnes on? He is legit. I'm going to ask, I think, who was it that got them? Oh, Josh and Artemis got them. I'm going to ask Josh and Artemis for his contact information right after the show tonight. And if they're willing to give it to me, I would be happy to interview him. He's a fascinating guy. He's the real deal when it comes to Area 51. No bullshit, right? I like that. Amy Collins says, Courtney Brown had some remote viewing videos with his team. They seemed very staged and contrived. Yeah, and he's got these other girls working for him now that are remote viewers, and everybody's got superpowers, Amy Collins. And I'm sorry, everybody knows this. You guys know I always say this, right? If you start talking about your superpowers, I just kind of shut down. I just can't with people that have superpowers. Now, I will say this. I did know at least one person in the world of magic tricks that could routinely, he was a mentalist, so he did like mind reading tricks. That guy could totally prove to anybody that he's got psychic abilities. He was amazing. Look him up. His name is Banachek, and I was happy to hear that. By the way, he fooled scientists into thinking that he was really psychic. The skeptic, Amazing Randy, sent him in to fool scientists into believing that he had superpowers, and he did. That guy was amazing. Like, I followed him around when he did this college tour around Pennsylvania. Well, he was in all the states, but I only followed him through Pennsylvania, and I saw his show, and I was a magician trying to figure out how he did some of the stuff. He was one of those guys that doesn't sell his stuff to other magicians. So that guy was amazing. And he could just nail things, right? Like, he told me one time something like the address where I grew up. I never found out how he did it, but he told me the numbers of the address where I grew up. And some of the stuff that he would do would convince people that he really had superpowers. He was amazing, but it was all tricks. It was all trickery and tricks. Cosmic Neighbors, time to drive the nail even deeper. No, but like I said yesterday, some people are just beneath me. And, like I said, telling people that third phase of moon fake things is like telling people water is wet. I am happy about one thing, though. Now these idiots have to stop their talking points. Like, well, they haven't faked anything in 5 years, 3 years. Oh, now we're down to 1, right? Now all they got is they haven't been caught faking anything since last year. So that's good. That's progress, right? Great. So all of that stuff about them changing 5 years ago and doing it the right way, that was all just public relations to keep their grift and their cons going. And all they changed was their method of faking things. Instead of, you notice they're constantly talking about CGI. Oh, we don't accept anything that looks like CGI. Yes, they do, by the way. They have, by the way. But it does seem that they changed their focus from all the CGI videos because they got too much shit for it. Everybody would go, CGI, it's CGI, it's CGI. So then they started using techniques like magic tricks, Pepper's Ghost Illusions, models, practical effects, not CGI, right? Dirty Mike is here and says, Goofon wants to teach people stuff, but he doesn't realize you actually have to put work to learn something before you can teach it. Yeah, well, he claims he did skywatching for 20,000 hours, and all he's got is a picture of a goddamn security dome camera, the dumbass. So I call bullshit on that too, right? And, I think that Goofon is very easy to figure out. He was that bitter, angry, jealous guy in high school that no chicks would bang, right? Because he was a loser and he didn't have anything going for him. And one day he got on TV talking about UFOs, and that was it. He was all chips in. Oh my God, people are listening to me. People are talking to me. People want to hear what I think. And that's all he's got. And, it's kind of sad. And I don't know, me, I've had way too much spotlight in my life, so I'm not here for that shit at all. Not at all. All right, questions or comments for me, put them in the live chat, right? Maybe we could create a Pepper's Ghost next weekend to show everyone. I got some old windows at the cabin. We could do it. I definitely got some old windows, and I have LEDs. I have a shit ton. Don't ask me why, Ron, but I got a whole bunch of LEDs. I got multicolored RGB ones, red ones, green ones, blue ones, orange, pink, purple, ultraviolet. We can rig something up. Yeah, let's do that so we can demonstrate. Let's see. Goofon said in his chat he was going to make a video of his reply to last night's show for his channel members and Patreons tonight. Yeah, look at that. That's great. He's going to grift on a response, right? He's going to grift and not publicly give his excuses for his fakery, fraudery, and bullshit. And that's another attempt, because then I suppose, no one gets to see that unless you pay him, right? You got to pay him. You got to pay him to hear his explanation for why he was lying to everybody. Hey, Grift on. You were lying to everybody, collecting super chats for months. Why don't you put that publicly and explain to all those people you stole money from while you were lying what happened there? He won't. Put it behind a paywall. That is scammy slimeball shit right there. If you guys want to hear how I really wasn't lying to you, just give me $3 and join my Patreon, and I'll put the video there. That is a slimeball, scuzzball thing to do. But, that's what I've come to expect from him, right? I wonder if his parents know what he does, right? Like, I can't imagine his mom and dad would support him, like making fun of disabled people, saying people are faking cancer, talking about, guys' wives and their tits and everything. Maybe they do. I don't know. Somebody ought to send them a VHS tape with clips. Maybe they can play it, find out what their dummy son is doing in their trailer, right? Angry brain dead chimp. Yeah, I can't disagree. Heather Birdie, I'm going to do that, but I tried. Here's what I can tell you. In magic, there is, of course, different forms of magic. I was a stage magician, but I also did what's called close-up magic. But I always had a problem with the traditional way that close-up magic is done is around a table. So the magician will be sitting like here in the middle, and there will be people all around in front of him, and he does, coin tricks, little stuff. And I always hated sitting at a table. In fact, I was in some contests with International Brotherhood of Magicians and Society of American Magicians when I was a magician, and I got shit because I wouldn't sit at the table. I would say, no, that's not, because that's not the way that it's done anymore. But these old guys, it's traditional to sit at the table. And it's so funny to me that anytime guys were doing magic at a table, I wasn't interested in that. Because I'm like, that's not the way people do. You do it standing up in front of people, like street magic. You just go up to people and go, hey, do you want to see something strange? So I always hated the sitting at the table, and I never wanted to learn any of the sitting at the table stuff. Only stuff that I could do standing up with, And now I wish I would have learned all the sitting at the table stuff, because that stuff I could do all right here for the audience here. So, and then I have another way. I have a set that I set up where I could just stand up and do magic. And I've been actually restocking everything. I decided that I'm going to go back to magic shows, Heather Birdie, but only for the I hate to say this, but I'll be honest. I'm only doing it for some of the whales. Let's put it that way. The corporate clients that, where you get a huge paycheck for doing an hour. I'm not doing like, Jimmy's birthday party anymore. I used to do everything. I would do birthday parties, Christmas parties, weddings. But I'm only going to do the bigger stuff now. It's going to take me a while to get my hands back. I've been working on that. Yes, Heather Birdie, I will be doing magic here on the show. I've come up with 3 different pieces that are 10 minutes long. So I might just start the show, 10 minutes of magic, and then we'll go on and do the show. That's another thing that I have been thinking about, Heather Birdie, in order to reinvigorate and change up the show and make it not so, I don't know. It's just getting to be like, I have to want to be here and I have to want to do a show. I want to do a show where I put some magic in because that would be interesting and cool. So yes, I am working on that. String them all in the woods, make a nice party forest. I don't know what that's about. Goofon wears bedazzled jeans. Pass it on. Yeah. Daisy Duke style. Pass it on. Oh, geez. Yeah. Great Universal Fraud Open Network. That's pretty good. Great Universal Fraud Open Network. You should get the Boz back on to talk about the UFO report drama being hyped up on Twitter. I'll send him a message tonight, Brian Smith. Next week we're going to do at least 2 interviews. That's another thing I've decided. Do you guys remember we had Gorilla Gamer and Sheila Aliens here? I had such a good time with those 2 guys, guy and girl. Sorry, Sheila. I just had such a good time, especially the Gorilla Gamer. We just laughed like hell for 2 hours straight. It was so much fun. That's what we got to do. We have to put the fun back in, and all this dark, garbagey stuff. I want to do less of the garbage peddler shows, right? Goofon wore Jenko's pants at 35. Pass it on. Yeah. Yeah, it is funny to see that there's a few of those hangers on with him. Great. They like to be lied to. If you like to be lied to, go to Goofon's show. He lies to his audience better than anybody I've ever seen. He lied to his audience for months and months and months, and we busted him. We told everybody the truth for months and months and months. So if you want a show host that lies to you, go over to Goofon. If you want a show host that tells you the truth, you can come here. You should show us real magic, but put it behind a paywall. That's a good idea, right? Make third phase disappear. And that's another point, actually, that I had in my notes here. Lifers. That's another problem in this UFO world. Some of these guys get in, and this was explained to me, like some of these guys will do anything they have to do to keep the grift going. They can't go back to a real job. What are they going to say? Go to a job interview. So what have you been doing for the past 5 years? Oh, I've been on the internet scamming people, talking about aliens. It doesn't work. So a lot of these guys are lifers, and you can tell the lifers, like Grifton is a lifer. He will sit there talking about alien bullshit for the rest of his life because he has apparently no other marketable skills. Nobody would give him a real job. Look at him, and look at how he acts to people. Like, the guy's not a team player, right? He can't get a job. Third Phase of Moon has been scamming people for decades now. Leopards don't change their spots. I heard an alien addict say that. They're lifers. They're going to keep doing this scammy shit forever. And part of me thinks that no amount of, coverage of their scammy shit is going to stop them. So it's like, it's like trying to put your finger in a waterfall to stop the waterfall. It's not, it's not going to work. They're just going to keep going with that stuff, right? You want the truth. Goofon can't handle the truth. Well, no, he can handle the truth if you get behind his paywall. Then he can handle the truth. Sure, he'll do it behind a paywall, right? Goofon is the Ed Hardy of ufology. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'd rather move on. I really dig the AI subject and the work you've done on the subject so far. That's another thing. Yeah, I was just talking to Ian, and I have a technology and media company, and we bounce back and forth between mostly being a media company. For a while, we were mostly a technology company. I'm getting back into some of that. So yeah, I would like to do that. Spooky says, ufology is mostly people processing experiences. It's a natural process with many facets of psychological presentation, ripe for cult recruiting. So what we do matters greatly. Yeah, I don't want to sound too discouraged or discouraging. Every once in a while I get that comment from somebody that says, "Oh my God, I was so deep in this rabbit hole, this clown or that clown, and I laughed when I saw your video, and if now I know they were lying to me, and thank you so much." Those things make a big difference here. They really do. More comedy stuff would be great. Nick Nope, UFO Lucifer, perhaps. Yeah, I'm still working on a surprise guest, not guest, surprise. What is it? A surprise guest show host. And I don't know if I'll get it together for this week or if I will not get to it until tomorrow. It's good tonight. I didn't have much of a presentation. I apologize for that, but it's good to catch up here with the live chat. So questions or comments for me, please put them in all capital letters. Amy Collins, perhaps variety within the show. Open with a magic trick, cover a grifter of the night, then a short interview with an experiencer. That seems legit. That sounds like good. I'm going to take notes. I'm just copying and pasting that into my notes here, right? I think maybe make a better UFO documentary and sell it and put Fox and Third Phase of Moon to shame. Won't be hard to do. All we have to do is not lie or use anonymous sources, and it would be better automatically. Shows about UFO cults would be cool. I would love to hear your thoughts on the Raelian movement. I think we've covered him in the past, actually, but we can cover him again. I'm sure we've covered him. Let me check. I think we have. Yeah, that guy is a total grifter, and they lied and said that they cloned a human and all this stuff. I'm not going to be able to find it right now, but I'm sure that we covered him in the past. There was a documentary about him, and we sort of watched it and then talked about it. Bob Berkins is here. You can always count on Bob Berkins to say nonsensical stuff in the live chat. Apparently that's what he's here for. Those women naked with imagination, cleaning house, waiting. I don't ever know what the hell you're saying, Bob Berkins. It's deep, he says. Okay. Go down the experiencer rabbit hole for sure. Experiencers need a platform that handles it correctly. Yeah, but I don't know what to do with experiencer. We started that and we did it. We did a series called the Experiencer Files. So just look up Experiencer in the search bar of our channel here. And by the way, I need to show this again because YouTube has continued to make the interface somewhat confusing for people. So let me go and show you this. So now when you go to our channel, you're only going to see uploaded videos, and you'll see we haven't uploaded a video. All of our videos mostly are live, so we haven't uploaded one in a month. But when you go to our channel now, you don't see all the live shows. You have to go to the live tab there, and then you will see all of the latest, all of the live shows. You can scroll through all of them. There's hundreds of them. And that's another thing that I get kind of, sometimes I think we should just rebroadcast some of our oldest shows that nobody has seen. There's some real gems in there. Maybe we'll get Spooky working on that, right? Truth Seekers presents. So make sure if you're looking for shows, our show here, go to the live tab in YouTube. It's very, very important, right? John Griffin says, don't listen to Berkins, right? Ron says, did you tell me a while back you needed an Arduino Mega 2560? I think I have one of those boards lying around. I think I did tell you I needed that. I was going to make an alarm system for the cabin out of one of those. Yeah. Tech Toys, right? They should give a choice on what tab we want featured. I agree, because I think that the views are going to suffer because people go to your channel and don't see your latest live stream until they hit the live tab. It's like one more step to see the shows, and some people don't know to hit the live tab, right? Update on Emery Smith and his girls. Well, now one of his girls is Anjali, right? I have an RFID system you can have. You just fill your car with tech toys and bring them all, Ron. That's what you'll do. We'll just dig through it. This weekend, I'm going to be cursing at you guys making firewood for this bonfire because I don't want to use my good cabin wood for that. So I got to go through the woods and find some, some bonfire wood, like campfire wood and firewood for the inside is two different things. And I don't want to use the good wood. So I'm going to make some crap, right? Heather Birdie says, on my phone, I have to click on videos to be able to see live show episodes. Okay, so on your phone, so just click around, hit videos, hit live. I don't like that they changed the interface, and I sure don't like that you have no say in that, right? Like, it's not good that we have no say in that. Perfect, been wanting to get rid of piles of electronics. You just put them in a box. Tell me what the hell they are so I know. I just cleaned my garage, Ron. I really did. I just cleaned my garage. My wife's going to get mad at me. She's like, oh my God, what is this piles of electronic shit? I'm like, I'm going to tell her that, Ron, he made me take them, honey. I'm sorry. Right? Slapped Ham and the Darkest Secrets on YouTube is pretty good also. Thanks, American Justice. I'm always looking at new YouTube channels. I'll check them out, right? Can you fly a drone with a long fishing line with a UFO model under it? That would be a good fake, like Greer uses. Well, we can stop that. Or yeah, we can. I'm sorry, I'm looking at somebody telling Berkey to stop spamming. Yeah, we can try that, right? Check my messages. 1 second. Yeah, and isn't it interesting? The election's still not over. Some people are still counting, right? What is that? What are you sharing to me? All right, I can do that. That's got Spooky's giving me a CW Channer video to end the show with. Let me get that. I wanted to we got to check the I'm sorry, I forgot to do it. Here, we did the poll. All right, so here are the results of our poll. We asked, should we only cover the UFO world or everything paranormal? What about true crime? So 21% said UFOs only, 68% said all things paranormal, and 10% said true crime. So we appreciate that, and we hear you, and yeah, we're going to go back to covering a lot more different things. I have a bunch of stuff in queue. I hope you've been doing. Hey, Crypto Horsepower is here. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while, right? Mr. Blood Vessel says you have a new senator in Pennsylvania. I'm not sure he knows he's the senator, but yeah, we do. Great. How about interviews with religious and occult practitioners, writers, and scholars? Yeah, we're going to have this Ken Ami back on. He's an interesting guy, and he's just chock full of. He knows everything about angels and demons, and I think he's an interesting character. We're going to have him back. Maybe next week I'll reach out to him. I am someone you all know. All would know that Steve is correct. That's why I am here. Okay. I heard Peterson is heavily into UFOs. Well, so I hear, but I don't know. I haven't seen this, so yeah, Spooky. We'll end the show. So we get spooky bookmarks tonight, right? We started the show with a spooky thing, and we'll end the show with one of Spooky's edits here. Oh, I hope that's the right thing. Why is that not working? Let me see. I try to download it to upload it. I try to download it. Oh, because you have it numbered. Let me make sure it's the right one before I add the bumper here. I'm going to add that. Yeah. For some reason, my YouTube downloader does not like number signs. Yeah. All right. That's the right one. All right. I'll add that bumper so we have something funny to end the show with. It's C.W. Channer's impersonation of Jordan Peterson talking about the world of UFOs, right? Absolutely. Fetterman is JFK wearing a mask. Facts. I'm sure that the Q folks think that that is true. Other people say Fetterman is an alien confirmed. CR is here, and I agree with you. It says Ken Ami was great. He really exposed where a lot of historical origins of UFO stories come from. You know, I'm going to email him as soon as we get done because I've been delving deep again into demonology. I happened to find a few books of mine, and he has some real amazing work on demons, demonology, angels, and other things like that, and other occultic things. You know, I suppose in order to stay sane here, we just can't focus so much on what we have been. We're ready for a change. Do some, hell yeah, I want a Dell server. Hell yeah, is it rack mount or not? I don't care. Yeah, I love servers. I have a bunch of old servers here, Ron. I love old servers. Remember, I'm a Linux guy, so I'll slap Linux on it and do something with it. Make it a cloud server for me and Spooky. We need one of those. We need a cloud server for me and Spooky to share, to bounce stuff back and forth, right? Wendell Lambo, goof on his incel vibes. Can't say I disagree, right? Can't say I disagree. Drop your link, Spooky. The link to Spooky's channel is in the description of the video. And by the way, I should mention that there's 2 free Third Phase of Moon documentaries, and both are in the description of this video. So if you haven't seen both of them yet, one is by Sapiens Culture. It's called The Hoax Files, Third Phase of Moon Exposed. And the other one is the edit that I did, and that is all of the most recent things. All of the most recent things, right? And that one is called Third Phase of Fake, Recent Hoaxes, Fakes, and Misrepresentations of Third Phase of Moon. And we're still thinking about uploading both of them here to the channel. We'll probably do that sometime this weekend. And Third Phase of Fake and Grift On can do whatever they're going to do. I have lawyer letters standing by, right? We'll see what happens with that. It'll be interesting to see if they're going to try to copyright claim me, because they know I'm going to defend it to the ends of the earth. We believe in free speech here. No, but I have a brand new Dell rack mount UPS. No, I don't need a UPS, but I'll take the server. I could use that. Me and Spooky, we were talking about we could have a server, like a cloud server here that Spooky can access and I can access, that we can share things like resources, like stock footage and templates and, creative things and whatever, right? speaking of books, maybe recommend a reading list every now and then. You know, I think that's a good idea. Yeah. And by the way, we were going to do a show tonight on Simon Parks and his election intel. It's hysterical, so I'm probably going to do that tomorrow. It's pretty interesting. Al Warrior is here and says, I follow some true crime channels. Look at that. We just got a free server for the show. That's great. I could definitely use that. Mark D. Truth Searchers. I love free speech, even if it's not what I agree with. So do I. And even when you piss me off saying stupid things, I let you, right? That's the way free speech works. DMT trips and other psychedelic experiences. On JRE, they mentioned some scientific study about similarities between entities people meet while using DMT. Yeah, well, I just talked to Ian, Mr. Ian, about that. He's got some psilocybin mushrooms or something. And I said that after he's done with his trip, he should come on the show and do like a trip report. I would be into doing that and hearing the stories. What happens to you when you take these certain kind of mushrooms or that, right? Yeah, I don't have any problem with computers, cosmic neighbors. I know how to work a server just fine. It's these goddamn 3D printers that I don't like and have a problem with, right? Free speech means I can say your free speech is wrong, right? Yeah, Cosmic Neighbors reminding everybody to hit the like button. Yeah, good, absolutely good. So yeah, I'm glad that we did this today. I get a little bit of a sense of what you guys want to see. Haunted or paranormal hotspots in Philly would be good also, or maybe the history of the places. There's a couple places nearby me, including a castle. There's a castle right near. I never knew this. There's a castle right near my house. It's like a half-hour ride. I'm going to go see it. And we may cover it. It's supposed to be haunted, right? It depends on how the people that are there. You know, sometimes there was a restaurant near here that's said to be haunted, and it was on a couple of different TV shows. And I approached the manager and said, "Oh, I have this show called Truthseekers, and we'd like to come investigate." And that guy was like, "What television network?" And I said, "No, I'm on YouTube." He goes, "Oh, you're just a YouTuber? Yeah, we're not interested." I'm like, "Okay, great, thanks." B. Baker says, "Hopefully the server and the Arduino weren't printed by a 3D printer." Yeah. Yeah. But the good news is, B. Baker, is that Ron is coming to the cabin. And if he can't get that 3D printer to work perfectly, he may never leave. That's all I have to say, right? Just going to chain him up next to the printer. Make this thing work or else, right? Rorschach mad with some mushrooms. Al Warrior reminding everybody to smash the like button, right? Bob Birkin's opening ancient dream tunnel. Okay. Crypto horsepower. I really want to do some DMT, talk to the machine elves. I've heard that the Nazi scientists did a lot of DMT and learned to think from the entities they met and created things that worked. Well, if you say so. I've never heard that they did hallucinogens. I have heard that the early Disney animators used to get all shroomed up and make cartoons, though. And that's, I believe, they probably did. Have you seen Fantasia? Fantasia is a little-known Disney movie, but it's amazing for the, especially when you realize what the time frame that they made it in. It is an amazing movie, and all drawn by hand, frame by frame. When the AI 3D printers start printing AI 3D printers is the day that we're in trouble. That could definitely be. Yeah. Ron's going to call me. There's a threat or a promise, but no. Yeah. I think I talked to Anthony too about the coffee thing. I think we got to figure it out. I don't know. I got instant coffee, some other kind of instant coffee. I'm getting real coffee, and there's a coffee machine at the cabin, but I never use it because I don't drink coffee. So you guys are gonna have to, we're gonna have to figure out like how to make coffee with a coffee maker. Nope, don't drink coffee at all. Mr. Blood Vessel says, these days I'm more into licking toads. That's something else, right? Cosmic Neighbors has some questions, and he doesn't want to, you don't want to talk to me tonight. Okay, all right. Whatever, man, whatever. So this is good. I think we have a plan for going forward for the show. We're going to diverge into different subjects, and views be damned. It's so funny that all you said, oh no, do a bunch of different subjects. I'm telling you, the views will be half. But I'm good with that. We have to do what we have to do to stay sane. I do have some subjects that I started researching and never finished. And we have another Murder in UFO Land almost ready to broadcast for you. That took a lot of research. Yeah, Patty says Fantasia folks would get high and watch it. It's a very enjoyable movie, Patty. And I remember that I saw it in a movie theater in downtown Philadelphia when I was just a little kid, like 4 or 5. And I was with my father and mother for some reason. And for the life of me, I got to ask my older brother. I don't remember why we were there in Center City. We didn't live anywhere near there watching a Disney movie. It's just like a weird fragmented memory. But I remember just being blown away as a child because it has like centaurs and all these mythical creatures in it. And it's all trippy and anime, and like, it's really trippy. It's a really trippy movie. It probably would be fun to watch if you were high, right? And again, Bob Berkins with his random, you are not alone. Been a human with imagination healing you in time. If you say so, right? Fantasia is a fun trip movie, The White Glove. Yeah, I remember that, right? But I like the Mickey Mouse portion of it the least. I like the rest of it better, Donald Duck Math Magic Land. Oh man, I haven't heard that. I used to watch DuckTales, right? All right. Well, boy, are we veering off. So we're going to bounce on out of here, and I appreciate you guys letting me vent. I feel better now. Tomorrow we'll be back with another show. I'm not sure what time. I might, if I can possibly wake up early, try to get it in early before I leave for the cabin. I got a ton of things to do at the cabin because we're going to have guests. And yeah, I won't forget, Spooky. And yeah, we're going to have guests at the cabin. So I have to clean and do all kinds of stuff. And I have to get their beds ready. And I guess I'm taking the sheets home to wash and bring back. And, but I'm glad that we're having guests because it forces me to like really do a good job and clean the whole cabin up. My wife doesn't go to the cabin until summer, so it gets pretty grimy. It can get pretty grimy in there, and I always like it better when you show up and the whole cabin is all clean and organized when you walk in for the weekend. I love that. I hate it when I go there and I'm like, Jesus, I forgot I left out food, and now it's like a science experiment, It gets pretty grimy in there. Al Warrior says, Steven, since I've been home, I've been researching cold case files. I would love to get into that, right? I would love to get into that. I really would. Keep up your great shows. You're going to boom. Just keep on keeping on, buddy. You do your research. Thanks. Thank you, Crypto Horsepower. I appreciate it. How do you feel, Crypto Horsepower, about the government saying they're going to regulate crypto now? I don't know many crypto people, but the few that I do know are really pissed off about this idea. I don't think it's a good idea to let the government get into anything, right? Pragmatic cabin build. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, yeah. Pragmagic got some New Mexico land, and he's going to be building a cabin. And I'm so happy for him. And I told him that anything that I can help him with, I will. And if he has any questions or gets stuck on something, he can always call me, and I'll try to help him. Building a place by yourself in the middle of the wilderness is a exciting challenge. I'm glad I'm going to get to do it again. Pragmagic, I bought a forest, a whole forest. It's going to be awesome. Sandy Smith says, don't forget the itching powder. Good idea. Yeah. Those guys are so, they're really waiting for a prank though. So I gotta be devious about it. CIA main office is under Disney. That's why they were all busted. Oh, jeez. All right. That's good. Yeah, that's good. So we're going to bounce on out of here. We're going to leave you with the clip by Spooky. This is out of context CW Chanter. Shout out to CW Chanter doing his impersonation of Jordan Peterson and UFO'S, I think, right? So that's all we got for you, friends. Until next time, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.
Spooky. Scene: Jordan Peterson discovers ufology. Ooh, that's tough. Oh, that might be tough. Oh, I don't know. Hold on. Like, Spooky, if you if you could set me up with like a Jordan Peterson live chat style question. Spooky, is ufology full of Jungian duality, full of people working with the shadow? Spooky asks, is ufology full of Jungian duality, full of people working with the shadow? Well, I don't really know. The field of ufology is one I don't really look at, that much per se. But obviously, anytime you have people, looking at something that hard, searching, you gotta ask why. Why are they looking so hard? There's something there. Especially when what they're looking at, most people look at and see nothing. You really gotta wonder why people are looking at what essentially, for a lot of people, is blank space. So, it's fairly obvious that there's something there. Yeah, it's not necessarily Jordan Peterson. It may be someone in Canada at a UFO survivor circle, but I don't know if it's Jordan Peterson. It's not quite Kermit enough. It's been a minute since I tuned into Peterson, and that's the problem.
Truthseekers is a viewer-supported show. Wonderful people like you who enjoy this show send pledges in the form of super chats, super stickers, super thanks, PayPal, or Cash App. Instructions for how to help are in the description. You can also join our Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month you can get extra content. Patreon supporters get a backstage pass, early access to all our production videos before they are distributed publicly, Stephen Cambion's music, private writings, a monthly show journal, and more. You can also become a YouTube channel member for $5 a month. A YouTube membership includes all of the Patreon benefits, plus a special members badge, priority reply to video comments, and the live chat, plus a monthly members-only video. We thank you all, kind and generous benefactors, for supporting Truth Seekers. Thank you for your generosity and support.